Welcome to All Nature Connected, a podcast created by the Forest Bathing Institute where we explore all nature connected topics, including nature and health, nature inspired lifestyle, nature connection and forest bathing, nature preservation, and eco awareness. We hope that this podcast will inspire you to become more connected with nature and your own health and well-being. Hello everyone, this is Olga from the Forest Bathing Institute, and today we have a very special guest with us, Kat Mertens, and she's from EcoNIDRA. And today we'll be talking to Kat about the practice of EcoNidra and some of the inspirations that hopefully some of you will find helpful in your journey connecting to nature, maybe helping your health and well-being, or maybe even if you are already an existing guide or someone who's thinking about becoming a guide or someone who facilitates health and well-being for other people and relaxation, this is also something that might interest you. So, Kat, very welcome. Very nice to see you today. Could you please tell us a little bit more about yourself and also the EcoNidra organization that you have founded?
Thank you so much. I'm happy and honored to be here today and to have this conversation with you. So my name is Kat. I'm based in the Netherlands. I was born in the Czech Republic. I'm a mother of a little wild baking, a little wild son. And I'm a forest bathing guide. I am a tree climbing therapist, and I am also the founder of EcoNidra. And EcoNidra I consider EcoNidra my other baby. So I actually have two babies, and EcoNidra is one of them. And basically, this journey to this work, this reconnection, deep connection of humans back with the earth and with nature, is my mission, and it's my passion. And it's my passion to do it so that people can experience it on all the levels. So EcoNidra, which is laying down on your back, so resting, laying down on the earth. Forest bathing, which is slightly more active, as you know, but very peaceful as well. And tree climbing, which is a little bit more active and embodied way of connecting with the tree. I also like to teach about them. I also like to spread the word about them so that people can connect mentally, so that the mental, rational mind also has the understanding of what we are experiencing with. So that's my journey, and it has been it has been a beautiful journey. And my body, the piece of nature that I am, has always been my guide. And the biggest breakthroughs and the biggest moments of my life when I chose to take this path or create something on this path has always been based on my bodily experiences, so mostly challenges from light ones to quite serious ones. So that is a little about me.
Thank you. Thank you, Kat. I mean, such an incredible journey. I'm very intrigued actually to hear a bit more about tree climbing, if you want to tell us. But first, I actually wanted, if you don't mind, sharing a little bit more about your journey, because when I've heard about your journey, how you've set up EcoNidra and things that you've experienced yourself, I really connected with your experience and I really found it very inspiring because not only was it inspiring in terms of how much nature can do for our own health and well-being, but also how it can then ripple out into helping others, which you are of course doing now through your EcoNidra company and other things that you are heading. So would you mind sharing a little bit more about the inspiration and your journey to
Yeah,
setting up EcoNIDRA?
I would love to. Yeah. The question with this is always when has it actually started? Because you can go back to childhood and remember that you spent so much time in nature and that you were actually doing what we are doing here. And then after the period, yeah, you kind of lose yourself, lose your mind in the world of study and academic world and work and careers and that kind of stuff. So yeah, my path has brought me there to kind of a disconnection from nature and to a lot of work. I used to be a translator and language specialist, a linguist, and I spent a lot of time behind a computer and chasing deadlines and still being indoors, seated all the time and stress, a lot of stress. Um, when back in 2016, I kind of sensed already that this is not the way that the body likes and that it is built for. And back in 2018, I already had chronic inflammations of both eyes. That was my body really saying clear and loud, close your eyes for a moment, rest a little, stop staring at those screens all the time and take a breath. And so, yeah, it took me some time. First, I went for the medical way with all kinds of ear drops and, antibiotics and everything. But eventually, I found out that the only thing that helped was being in the forest and spending slow time in the forest. And the forest air was the only air that wasn't irritating my eyes and that didn't hurt. And the forest pace, because I didn't see that well, it hurt my eyes, so I couldn't hike really. I could just walk slowly, and that's how I rediscovered the way that humans used to be in forests before, right, in the past. And it healed my eyes, and took a little while before I realized that. And of course, then I curious about it. I digged into the research about the forest sounds, the forest air, the colors, the immune system boosting effects of the forest, the phytoncides and all of it. So that's how I became a forest bathing guide. And a few years later after that, I was already a trainer of other forest bathing guides too. But I got a Lyme disease, and the Lyme disease paralyzed me. So my life energy was so little that I was actually only able to do something for about 2 hours a day. And that do something meant like get up from the couch, from the bed, and make some tea. And for the rest, I was really laying down and just staring and wondering if this is going to be my life for now, because it seems that Lyme disease can take many ways in a person and in a body, and it seems to be very different for everybody. And so at that moment, as a forest bathing guide, I knew about the healing powers of nature, about the healing powers of the phytoncides for our immune system, but I didn't even have the energy to go out into the woods, into the forest. I also knew about the self-healing capacity of the human body if you allow it to relax and, switch into the healing mode. But my inner space, my inner forest at that moment was full of, full of questions, full of quite bitter feelings, full of uncertainty, full of self-pity even, like why me? So all the whole mixture, the whole cocktail of feelings and thoughts that comes when you're sick and you're not sure if it's gonna get better. And it was that moment that I remembered a feeling. I remembered that back some years ago, I have done an Yoga Nidra session, which was outdoors on one of the islands here in the Netherlands in beautiful nature. And that after the session, when I get back, because I fell asleep during the session, as people usually do in Yoga Nidra, especially with your first session. But I remembered that complete bliss after the session and this feeling of being fully recharged and rejuvenated and feeling one with every single being around me. And that was such a strong memory that somehow I just grabbed my phone and I went into the internet landscape for like Yoga Nidra recordings. And I started to do Yoga Nidra about 2 sessions a day because I was, I was laying down, so you have all the time. And my energy came back. My the symptoms of Lyme disease disappeared and they never came back. And I actually found that there is a whole new level of being replenished and being recharged than I ever knew. I didn't know that you can have so much vital energy. So that's how this practice helped me with that physical challenge. And of course, the next thing that I did was first go into the forest. And I spent some amazing time out there with dragonflies. I had amazing encounters with dragonflies at the moment who would sit on my heart and stop in front of my eyes and just have eye contact and this amazing sound that they can do that completely touched my soul. It was really like these beings are telling me something. What is that? And simultaneously, I also was curious about Yoga Nidra because it feels it's a yogic sleep. It's part of the yoga tradition, something that you do laying down on your back, and then the teacher or the guide simply guides you through a journey, and you relax so deeply that your brainwaves slow down to the theta or even delta levels, and that you switch into the parasympathetic nervous system level, that it works on your fascia, that it works on your so I was fascinated. I digged into it. I became a Yoga Nidra teacher, and then two things happened. I realized if you combine or blend the techniques from this ancient practice, Yoga Nidra, with the techniques that I've known from forest bathing, then you create something beautiful, something that might even go deeper than the two practices separately. And so I started to do that. I started to test that. And the dragonflies were really played a key role in that because as I had these encounters with them, I looked up the meaning that ancient civilizations would give to the dragonflies. And it seemed that never mind where they were on the planet, they saw dragonflies as guides, as beings that were able to travel between levels of perceptions and levels of consciousness, and that were actually willing to guide people and take them along them because they liked us for some reason. And so this made me smile because when you're guiding a Yoga Nidra session, you're actually doing exactly the same. By slowing down the brain waves, you are actually traveling through the levels of perception and the levels of consciousness. And after the session, you are so restored that your perception of your world is different. People seem kinder, the world seems nicer, you have more energy for your work, for your family, for everything. So it made me, it was just such a flow together that the dragonfly, I really see it that the practice came through me and was brought to this world through the dragonflies as well. And that's why I honor dragonflies in calling EcoNIDRA teachers dragonflies. We are dragonflies. And the dragonflies, the real dragonflies, they keep doing it. Like a couple of days ago, I gave two training days, and during the EcoNIDRA session that I was giving outdoors, one dragonfly came and sits on my finger, and another one sits on my hair, on the top of my head, and they keep doing it. It's just a miraculous way how the modern human world is connecting and is bringing this message when we are open to it, when we are relaxed enough and susceptible to it, open. So yeah, so the practice of EcoNIDRA started and was tested, and yeah, a lot of feedback from people, and it got its final shape and form. And the EcoNidra teacher training also started, and nowadays we have about 300 of dragonflies worldwide. And it's an honor. It's a real pleasure to do this work. So yeah, it came from a Lyme disease. It was actually the gift of my Lyme disease that this came into the world. And yeah, later on a later moment, another physical challenge brought about my tree climbing and being a tree climbing therapist. So it keeps amazing me how this works. Obviously, we humans really need a challenge to really change or to really get, yeah, to really decide, make a decision about what way we want to take on in life. Yeah.
This is so beautiful. I kept taking notes because it's like so many important points that you raised, Kat. And thank you so much for sharing your journey. And, even though I knew your journey, hearing it from you again and with some of the things that I, for instance, didn't know that it was so bad, the Lyme disease you had, that you could only spend hours per day being active. And it's just coming from similar probably way of looking at nature, because Gary and I both, we were looking at nature first for ourselves and our own health and well-being. We were living in London, in central London, and we were really experiencing the stress of city life. And and seeing how once you are able to let a bit of nature in, let a bit of that intuitive sense that you said our bodies able to activate to help restore the body. If you kind of tune into it, it's there all the time. And
Hmm.
nature, that's what we try to teach. Nature is always there. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter if you are in the city or you're in the countryside. You are nature, you're part of it. You just
Yeah.
maybe a bit more removed from it. Maybe you removed yourself, but you are still it. And that realization, I think it's even in itself can be such a healing tool, that you don't feel that you are just a human in the world of billions of other humans separate from others. You are actually part of something much, much bigger and feeling connected to the rest. And I think one thing that you said, and I really love your explanation about the dragonflies, because I found it very visually striking when I looked at what you were doing. The dragonflies is such a symbol, it's such a mysterious symbol,
Mm.
but also such an inspiring one. And that you talked about the change in perception through the practice. And I think this is basically what we are trying to also teach people at the Forest Bathing Institute. It's not necessarily about, although of course there is work that we do and you do, I know, also in terms of raising awareness and
Mm.
participating in restoration, which is of course very important. But I feel same as you, and it's so inspired hence by your journey, that it actually starts within. You
Mhm.
can't just go out and try to shift the world without actually shifting something in you.
Mm.
Sometimes it happens from outside in, but
Yeah.
the perception change for us all as humans, in terms of where we find ourselves in relation to nature, to each other, that's, we feel, can be one of the keys to unlocking so many things that currently are happening around us that many of us would like to change, including restoration of natural spaces, even climate change and other things that we might be facing. And of course, there are lots of different factors, but it's just incredibly reassuring, I think, for us to also see how much you've done. 300 dragonflies, and I know you have them all around the world. And I will actually ask you if you can tell our listeners where they can find their dragonfly to get to the session with.
Mm.
And it just, yeah, it seems like a lot of people seem to be heading in the direction of the change needs to come from within. It's the
Mhm.
change of perception rather than the change outside that can, of course, follow and happen at the same time. That the change within, the change of perception is such powerful and I think unfortunately underutilized tool.
Yeah.
So very keen and very happy that your organization is also working on this very important mission. I was gonna ask you, Kat, I know we only have a few minutes left, so I was gonna ask you in terms of where can people find more information about your organization and maybe join one of your sessions or led by one of the dragonflies that you taught. And in after that, I'll also mention a few things that we are also doing together with you. So maybe you would like to also add a bit about collaborative work that I'll be talking about.
Yeah, I would love to. I would actually thank you so much for adding what you just shared. It resonates deeply with me, and there's so much to say about it. I actually see the nature-based practices, the nature-based restoration practices like forest bathing, like EcoNIDRA, as a gentle form of activism, of eco-activism, but from within. And that's the point, exactly as you said, right? Because if you take action in the world, but the action is based on anger and grief because it's natural. We have this. We see what human beings are doing to the planet, so we might feel either grief or anger. But um, if you do want to, at least that's my perception of it. If you do want to change something meaningful in the world, it has to come with a place of sense of belonging to the natural world and to the connection, the love, basically from the place of a loving kinship with the rest of nature, right? And you can only get to those to this base when you're restored and when you are open enough. So you need to connect first and let this shift in yourself happen to go out into the world and to change something in the world, but from that energy. Because otherwise, it's, yeah, of course, it can help to, any action can help. If you plant a tree and you're angry, the tree is still planted. But the question is, what is the quality? It's always the how we are doing things, right? And so that way, yeah, people sometimes say that the the idea of relaxing, of relaxing your own ecosystem of your body, that it's too passive, that they feel like we need to do something about what's happening in the world and to the climate and to the planet. But that's the misperception, because that's where you plant the seed, and that's where you plant the capacity to recognize the right action in all the things that we could be doing that can overwhelm us and bring about a lot of difficult feelings. We can, from the relaxed and recharged state of being, we can see that one clear action that can contribute. So that's a long conversation. Just thank you for saying it. If people would like to learn more about EcoNidra or find the dragonflies anywhere near, then you can visit the website, which is econidra.com. There's a page with dragonflies, EcoNidra teachers in the world, with their contact details and what they are offering, and a little description. So you can choose any dragonfly that works for you. If you, yeah, if you want to experience a session with me, you can just contact me through the website. So basically, that's where you can dive into the world of EcoNidra. There's also a free EcoNidra session that you can do through the website to, just at home at your ease, lay down and allow yourself to be guided. And our workshops together. Yeah. So do you want me to, shall
Oh
I
yes,
start
yes,
to,
please. Yeah, I think you would be better to in explaining it than me because you will be leading them.
Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to them. The two workshops that we'll be offering will be online workshops, and they will have the two topics. The first one is the language of guiding, and the other one is authentic marketing. And the language of guiding is about when we are doing this work, the importance of choosing language that is rooted in the body and in nature rather than in some abstract concepts. So basically, a language that is as simple, open, sensory, and body related as possible so that it helps people drop from the thinking mind into the body and into nature. And that by yeah, because if you listen to some of the meditations, for example, that are out there, they can actually keep you in your thinking mind. And there can be so much that people are saying that kind of creates even resistance or all kinds of things. So how to embody the archetype of the guide by using language that is simple, open, sensory, and rooted in the body, and that is culturally neutral, that is spiritually neutral, and that is inviting, that is not prescribing some kind of outcome where you are, even with the best intentions, but there, where you are kind of, um, yeah, making it your own journey instead of the journey of the guided. So that's about the language. I'm very enthusiastic about it, very much looking forward to that deep dive. And the other workshop is going to be about yeah, the title is authentic marketing. And what I mean by that is how to follow your sparkle. So how to follow a expression form that works for you so that you actually draw people to your work, so that they discover your work, so that you bring this work into the world, but at the same time do not get burned out on the social media while you hate social media and all the overwhelming advice of all the social media gurus and business gurus. It's for people doing this work, this can be really exhausting to push yourself to do something that doesn't work for you, that does this not the way that we are not salesy people, we don't like to push anyone to get to ourselves, right? And if they suggest to you that this is what you have to do, then you try to do it for some time, but then after a while it's just not working. So you basically, most of the people would drop it, which is pity, of course, because you can find your sparkle, you can really follow that what feels like art rather than sales, and that way, that is your way of bringing this word into the world. And that can be one-on-one conversations, that can be some storytelling, some visual storytelling, whatever it is for you. But that's what we are going to dive into. And also what it means to speak from your heart and how it feels. And how do you recognize when other people speak from the heart? And how does it feel in your body when you speak from the heart? So that's the other workshop.
Thank you so much, Kat. Such important topics, I think, for everyone. And it doesn't even matter if you are maybe someone who's already guiding others in nature, or you, I feel these topics, expressing yourself authentically, is really part of what it means to that change perception on how we see ourselves and the world around. So I'm actually really looking forward to both of those very interesting topics. And I think if you're an existing forest bathing guide, or maybe you are thinking of, maybe you already are doing some wellness and you would like to learn some more techniques, or maybe even I say, guiding others first. I think that's what you said. Maybe we need to start with guiding ourselves first.
Mm.
So, in a sense, I think everything that we bring out, it needs to first come through us, and we need to feel it for the experience to be authentic, and we need to relate to it. And so, in a sense, even if we're talking about language and guiding, well, how are you guiding yourself?
Hmm.
How what you normally say to yourself when you are doing some exercise? Is it more like, oh well, let's get it done with, let's just
Mm.
do it, you have to do it, pushing yourself? Or are you actually able to be in this flow and authentic? Because that authenticity then comes out. And I think, yeah, same thing with marketing. And it's just so beautiful to hear from an expert like yourself and learn more about that. So thank you. So if you would like to, if the listeners would like to get in touch with you, shall they email you their information on econidra.com that they can email you on?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
great. So do look at the website econidra.com. There is more information about the trainings and the guides, 300 guides across the world, so that's exciting. And we will also have on our website, we will have information on the workshops. So the first workshop on the language of guiding will be on September 22nd, 7 to 9 p.m. UK time. And the second one on authentic marketing, we've scheduled it for October 17th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. as it's a Saturday. So nice way to start the day. So yeah, please have a look at those. And if you have any questions, you can send them over to us and we can pass them on to Kat or we can answer them together. So thank you very much for listening today. And thank you, Kat, for joining us for this interview. It's been a huge privilege to have you and also for you to share about your passion. And I hope maybe in the future we can do another interview because there are so many beautiful topics that you've raised that I feel resonate so deeply also in me and I'm sure in our listeners as well. So thank you very
Mm.
much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.